wall, and then it's mining, and you're just like, okay, I'm just making money. It's like way more deep than that. And so the trading is like the same, where it's like, no, you don't just log in, set up your trading account, and go, oh, when it goes up, you sell it, and when it goes down, you buy it, and it's not that. It does not like work like that. That's not, that's not reality. That's not. So I can see where this is going to take quite a bit more investment, and in terms of time anyway.
Yeah, if you just try to long when the price is going up or short when the price is going down, you're probably gonna have a bad time.
Right.
I was just looking at the year to date from like the FTX crash to now. It's just like a giant ascending wedge, and that would be scary if that broke all the way down. Which it could. It did last year before the halving, or not last year, but 2020.
Well, I was kind of chatting with Brian last night a little bit in the Discord, and I didn't realize he had like come to the consensus out here in Austin last year. But this year, I drove down to the consensus here in Austin. I actually went to it, and I just wanted to watch a couple of the seminars that were more mining related. The other ones, the programming and the DAO and the, some of the different stuff. I'm just not. It's just not. I'm not interested in it. But they had a couple seminars specifically for miners, and they had some representation from several of the big mining companies. And the key question that they were asked was, well, what are you guys going to do when Bitcoin goes in half, especially when it's hard right now to be, a mining company that's got 100,000 miners online and paying all kinds of electricity and like maintenance and all of that. And their best answer was um, waiting for the halving so that the Bitcoin price would go up. And I was like, oh God, you guys are really putting a lot into hoping that that happens, because you know it's anybody's guess if that's really gonna, or when it's gonna happen. It'll happen, but it's just when is it gonna happen, and then what are all of the other variables that go into that happening, right? There's a lot of other variables. I mean, people go out of business. There's you know world economics, and then there's like ETF stuff and Gary Gensler and everything else. So there's a lot more to it. The water's way deeper in crypto than people realize.
Yeah, but it's also the same thing with stocks, right? I mean, if you're
Absolutely.
buying Disney, right? I mean, you're literally it's the same thing, right? You're hoping that nothing happens to Disney, that they keep on making money, keep on making hits, that Bob Iger doesn't make some boneheaded move, or that the executives don't make some boneheaded move and tank your investment. It's the same thing. It's hopium, right?
It absolutely is. You're absolutely right. It's very similar to that.
Or even with gold. I mean, imagine, we were way far off from this, but a lot of stuff is backed by gold, and gold's a huge thing. What if 30, 40, 50 years from now we figure out how to land on an asteroid and there's trillions of dollars worth of gold on it? Like, think about that.
Right?
And that's
Well, if
not
you don't, sorry, go ahead.
no, I was gonna say that's not like far fetched. I mean, like, obviously we're not gonna do it this year, but in the human future, like, we're gonna mine asteroids. Just imagine what that does to the price of gold and silver and rare earth metals.
Well, that is a possibility, a remote one
Decades
at,
from now,
at the
but
moment, but it could happen. But I was about to ask a question about the mining convention that you attended to, because with a certain regularity. We heard stories that major mining companies are essentially running under the water because of the electricity cost, and the competition on the mining network is just insane. So all of the business is done in the hope that the price of the asset that they are able to mine will at some point in the future be able to repay for all of that. And this is a long time coming, because there is always this doubt that this company will be forced to sell at a loss at some point in the future, pushing the price down even more. If this was going to happen in the future, of course, this will coincide with a drop of the asset, with Bitcoin, for example. Of course, not with the tops. The mess only comes out with the bottoms. And so far, this didn't really happen. I think no mining companies ever went under, if you exclude the Chinese ones. But there is a real possibility that this mining liquidation event is going to happen in the future. What is your feeling about this?
Yeah, you hit on some points there that are 100% correct, and there have already been several bankruptcies of major mining companies. So and I read an article about that, because like one of them that I worked with pretty closely, I just toured their facility up in Washington State, was Marathon. So Marathon Digital, and they even have big miners down here near Austin, out in Rockdale, which is actually an Alcoa factory next to a huge body of water. It's the Alcoa factory is decommissioned. So because the Alcoa factory has massive amounts of power to it, they've replaced it with mining machines, right? But if you look at the P&L statement from Mara, which I just looked at last night because I was looking at the fact that there's some insider sales going on, they're not running profit either. So it is very, very difficult, and that's exactly what the people in the Austin consensus were saying. The representatives from a couple of the other different companies. One of them's out of Canada, and I can't remember which one it is, but they were out of Canada. But they're a big one. They're huge. But you're right. The cost of running those, the electrical costs and other costs it's really hard to be profitable. So it's not like you just plug those machines in and go, oh, well, we're just making all kinds of money, because the value of the asset that you're mining is potentially getting take Caspa as an example. I didn't buy any Caspa machines because I've been through this whole thing with Bitmain. I mean, I have Bitmain certification. I've been through all their training from China. I didn't buy the machines because when I saw they're doing this, they're showing like, well, Caspa mined, if you get a miner, it'll mine $1,500 per day. Well, by the time China gets all of these miners online and the hash rate increases and increases and increases, if the corresponding value of the cryptocurrency doesn't go up, then it becomes more and more difficult to be profitable. So I think that in crypto, and specifically these companies that are doing the mining, it is going to be, we are going to see a lot of failure. I think we're going to see a lot of things settle out or get liquidated, or companies go out of business that aren't managing their businesses from a profitability standpoint or a sustainability standpoint. So this bear market we're going through with the crypto is very relevant to those businesses and how they're doing, and I do think that it's going to be 6, 12, 18, 24 months, and for us to turn around and get going back on a bull cycle, which will help. But I do think a lot of them are going to go out of business. Yeah.
Let me ask you a question. So I don't really know the mining side of things. I've never mined or done
Sure.
any of that. But so with Bitcoin, miners get a percentage or all of the transaction fees, right? Minus whatever the exchange takes.
So there's two different ways to mine. Basically, you can point your miner to a mining pool, and the mining pool is a conglomerate of miners that collectively use their hash rate to try to get Bitcoin, take care of the Bitcoin transactions, and if they solve a block, and the block is confirmed, and all these confirmations are going through, and your machine was in the pool, part of the confirmation, then you actually get a portion of the total amount of the block reward. So that's the pools, and a majority of people are mining in the pools because in order for you to solo mine, your machine has to take care of the confirmation of the block to get the reward from solving the block, which is super. It's not very probable unless you've got a massive amount of machines, right? Because the more these machines are being manufactured and sold, the more saturated and more difficult the hash rate is. Does that answer your question?
Yep. So in theory, if the more transactions, the more the miners make, right?
Well,
Not really that they don't make more, because there's only so many Bitcoin. There's only 21 million Bitcoin that are allowed to be mined. So it's more. It's actually the more machines that come online, the more transactional processing can occur and does occur, and so the more saturated the reward is.
So if there's on any given day, like let's take today for example, if there's 100,000 Bitcoin transactions versus 10 million Bitcoin transactions, there's not going to be a difference in how much the miners make.
I can try to answer that because
Yeah,
I was
go
a
ahead.
solo mine. I
Yes,
was
go ahead.
a solo miner when things were a lot easier. Maybe my view is a little simpler. I not really updated on this. So the point is this: a lot of miners are competing, forming a global amount of hash rate for their overall network. The more miners you have at any time competing to each other, the more is difficult to find a reward, which is a solution to a block. The network is set to self-stabilize and give you the possibility to find a block at with regular intervals. So if you have a lot of competition and you are solo mining, you basically don't stand a chance, because someone else, some very big conglomerate of miners will find that solution, and the possibility that your rig alone will find a solution in the world before anyone else is basically zero.
That makes sense.
And this has not this has nothing to do with the amount of transactions that the network processes. This is a different thing. The hash rate is the number of random tries with random numbers, literally, that the miners process in order to find a single verifiable solution.
That makes sense. So I guess another way for me to word my question is, so all these miners and conglomerates are banking on the price of Bitcoin to rise, to become profitable, right? So
yes,
it wouldn't be the same for transactions, right? So they're not banking on a transaction rise, right? Because that wouldn't really affect the price or their profitability.
right.
Well, that is a second mechanism that is built into the network in order to make it sustainable after all the Bitcoins have been mined. So the network will go on continuing functioning after all the Bitcoins will be found, because people will still need to find solution to new blocks. They will not get any reward from the solution of the block, but they will bank on the transaction fees. So there is also that as a second revenue stream for the miners. But as you can imagine, in that scenario, which is a few years now in the future from now, it will not be really profitable to have all these miners online just doing random tests across a huge range of random numbers to find solution. That makes absolutely no sense.
Yep.
The mining industry is built on the fact that there are still Bitcoins to be found, and that's it.
That makes sense.
Yeah, you explained it a lot better than I did.
Well, I happen to be a miner, like in 2010. You could actually solo mine back then. Of course, I didn't know anything. I barely knew what Bitcoin was, but I experienced the transition from the solo mine to the very heavy competition, and basically I was solo mining with a bunch of servers from the company, and I went to being very profitable to being outgunned in oblivion in a matter of 2 months. Because at some point, everyone rushed in to be a competitor, and the hash rate skyrocketed. I was basically making nothing out of that. And 2 months before, I was making like 1,800 euros per month, which was some substantial money for me at the time. And this was 2010, 2011.
Yeah, so just as a comparison, I have some of the CKB miners, and because CKB isn't quite as popular and the hash rate isn't quite as high, I run those machines in solo mode. Plus the block reward is every like 10 minutes or something. So I actually can solo mine CKB, and I do, and I probably get, I don't know, 1,500 CKB to 3,500 CKB every day or 2 days. Like it's pretty consistent. But all of my Bitcoin miners that I have, they're just running in a mining pool. They're just on Slush Pool, on Brains Pool. They're just in a mining pool. And right now, the thing, they only make about, say, $6 per machine per day. That's about
Wow.
it. But luckily, my and their S19J Pro, they're all doing over 100 terahash each machine. But my electricity cost where I have a bunch of miners is I have them up in Washington State, and so my electrical cost for kilowatt is only 3 cents. So I'm like my electrical bill up there is only about $800 a month, and so then the miners are making probably, I don't know, 800, probably making 1,600 to $2,000 per month,
Yeah.
which is not very good. But a few years ago, like you said, like several years ago, the profitability was way higher, and it's just gone down and down and down and down. So on a relative scale, if I only have like 15 miners running up there, you can imagine these companies like Marathon and some of these Scientific, which I believe that one's bankrupt now, where they have like, you know, 1,000 or 2,000 or 10,000 machines, and they're gonna have the same problem on a larger scale. I mean, you can only get your electrical cost down so low. So anyway.
Oh, okay. We should ask how this company are built. I mean, aside from the starter capital, we should start to ask a question like, who is behind this, and when they will be forced to cut losses? Because if Bitcoin wants to reproduce the drawdown from the last bear market and go as low as 12K, as you said, there is a real possibility that there's going to be an even more pronounced downward pressure, because there's a lot of Bitcoin locked there in mining companies and all the establishment that is behind that. A lot of Bitcoins. They've been mining since forever.
Yes. Yeah, that's a concern. And that, if I loop this conversation we're having back into trading, I didn't mean to capitalize the discussion here, but that's why, like yesterday I was looking at Marathon Digital's stock, right? Because I was looking at their P&L, and then I was looking at some insiders say, like this insider sold like 20,000 shares of their Mara stock, and I was like, shit, are these guys? I wonder if these guys are getting worried. Their P&L, they're not running a profit. They're not profitable. So, you know, what talking in a trading context, we were looking for shorts and longs and things like that. So that's one of the ones I'm kind of looking at. I'm going, I wonder if this might be one to look at for a short.
Yeah. I'm not able to see. No, wait. Actually, there's a lot of insider selling. I have this report that I'm watching. Director, officer, CEO, director. It appears to be many of those are selling.
Right.
Yeah, that's a concern.
If you look back in their history, as recently as June, I believe it was June or May of this year, the actual, I don't know if it was like the actual CEO or the owner, but it was one of the main executive members. He also retired. So, that's another thing. You're like, what does he know that we don't?
Well,
And the shareholders, who are those guys? Let's see. The Vanguard Group, BlackRock. Okay, the usual suspects. Morgan Stanley.
Sounds
and of
about
course,
right.
Van Eck. Yeah, these are the guys that are more speculative. I mean, if they need to cut losses, they will cut losses without the minimum concern for what happens next. So these are not pension funds. Okay.
Well, that's a
Let's
good
see what happens.
discussion. Yeah, good discussion.
And I'm
Yeah, really.
I am recording this. Is that okay with you guys?
Oh,
Sure.
of course.
Figure I'll toss it in Discord for people who missed the Sunday stuff. If it'll allow me to upload this big of a file. Don't know that it will, but what else do you guys want to talk about? I know we talked about Brian's not here, but he wanted me to talk about my trading journey. I think Netta.
Well,
Oh yeah, I'm interested too, actually, because I'm curious.
So why don't I just
maybe? Sorry, go ahead.
So yeah, I can talk about that. I have
this one is for Brian, I guess, who's not here.
No, but he can watch it on playback. So I'm really bad with dates. Like I've never been good with dates. So everything I'm going to talk about is going to be kind of an approximation, but the year should be right. So I started in crypto in like 2017. And when I started, actually, let's go further back than that. I started trading, I started stocks like when I was like 18 or 19, when I got offered a 401k at my job, but I wasn't active, right? I was just getting money taken my paycheck and it was going in. It didn't actively do anything. Stacked that for a while. And then sometime around 2015, 2016, I started actively trading stocks. I just had like a little bit of extra money. It wasn't much, right? Like little plays here and there. I even did penny stocks for a little while and made zero money, lost it all, right? And then I tried to do just a little bit of regular trading, nothing much. Anytime I actively traded back then, I was literally just doing kind of what we talked about at the beginning, where if something was going up, I traded it up, or tried to anyways. Didn't make any money, fell off for a while. And then saw crypto in like 2017 when that kind of run started, the 2017 run into 2018. That's where I started just buying Bitcoin. Didn't really do anything with alts yet, but I was just literally a holder at that time in like 2017. What made me like trading, or not like trading, but like threw me on to trading, was, I believe it was 2018 when Elon Musk first tweeted about Dogecoin. I could be wrong. Let me see. When did Elon...
Ah, yeah, we remember that time.
Yeah, it was 2019. April 2019 is when he first tweeted about Dogecoin. So I've always had alerts on my phone set for people I find interesting. I wasn't really in crypto Twitter back then, but I had tweet alerts for Elon Musk. So I remember the tweet coming across my phone where he said something like, Dogecoin is my favorite, or something to that effect, right? Or Dogecoin is interesting to me in 2019. And I said to myself, oh boy, like something's going to happen with Dogecoin. So I literally FOMO'd my entire bag, which wasn't a lot compared to what I have now, into Dogecoin. I literally fired up the exchange, transferred all of my Bitcoin to Dogecoin, and I think it had like an 80% run, if I'm remembering correctly. I suppose
it was, like 300%.
Yeah, it was a lot. And I remember that was my first time ever doing anything like that. And that's called like catalyst trading, right? Like you trade based off of some type of catalyst. And the catalyst in this event was Elon Musk tweeted about it, and it went crazy. I mean, it blew up huge. And I remember just staring at my phone at the time, watching my balance grow and being like, well, there's something to this, right? I made more money then than I had made or lost in my entire, up to that point, right? So all the money that I lost, I was now like in the green, just based off of that one tweet from Elon Musk back in 2019. think it was April of 2019. And then he tweeted several times over the next year or two about Dogecoin. I remember riding those pumps too. But it was after that 2019. That's when I got that itch, that first tweet. So I got lucky, I guess you could say, off of that initial pump. And then I traded a few times after that and lost like every single trade. Didn't lose all the money, but put a little bit of money into a trading account, lost it. Put a little bit of money into a trading account, lost it. I had wasn't TAing, didn't even know what TradingView was at that time. I knew what the exchange chart was, but I didn't know what I was doing. I just like we said at the beginning of the video, if something was going up, I bought it. Or traded. I didn't really trade leverage at the time. I was just doing spot trades, but you can still lose money, right? So if something's going up and it goes down, you're losing money. And that's kind of what happened to me. It wasn't until like 2020, I would say like November of 2020, December 2020. I remember it being like winter. It was that end of the year. That's kind of when that bull run started to kick off, that 2020 bull run. That's really where I started trading futures, and I didn't have a good time at it. I mean, I lost a lot of money. I did make up some of that losses again with Elon Musk's tweets. I think when Dogecoin went from like, here, let me pull up Doge real quick. Oh my God, there's a Doge emoji on TradingView.
That's ridiculous.
Did you guys see that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I gotta find a chart that goes back far enough. Maybe it was this one. It was. No. There, Bittrex goes far back enough. So I think it was this. This was the tweet in the bull market that he made when it went from like 0.05 to 0.0567. I don't know. Somewhere in 2021, that was like the last Doge play that I made, and it kind of made up for some of the losses I made when I started trading leverages on the way. But let me go back to Bitcoin. But it was around that time when I started trading, and I was losing again. I didn't really know what TradingView was. I was just loading up, transferring $1,000 or $100 or $500 to a trading account based off of the Doge winnings and trying to capitalize on it. And it was like after like loading up an account 5 or 6 times, that's where I started to trading a little bit more seriously. I was like, all right, I'm losing. I think it was around $30,000 Bitcoin. So that must have been around January of 2021 is when it was December of 2020, beginning of the year 2021. I remember it being like this node right here is where I said to myself, I need to start taking this a little bit more seriously. It took me about 3 months to fully grasp TA. And when I say fully grasp TA, I don't mean fully grasp. I mean like to have enough understanding to figure out which way the markets are going to go. And I sacrificed a lot of time in the evenings. I spent probably 3-4 hours 5 times a week. I would say 4 or 5 times a week, just learning. And when I want to learn something, I pick it apart piece by piece. So every single piece at a time. I think I started with like RSI, MACD, Bollinger Bands, and moving averages. I think those are like the 4 that I started with. And when I want to learn something, I want to like focus on one thing at a time. So I remember like reading about RSI for like 3 or 4 days straight, like learning everything I could possibly learn, what it meant, what everything meant, what relative strength index meant in general. And then kind of just dialed in, moved on to like MACD. I wasn't into like Market Cipher or Lux Algo yet. So it took me about 3 months to kind of understand enough to where I knew if the markets were going to go up or down. And then I kind of started trading again. So I took like a 3-month break. I didn't enter into any trades. I think by that point, Bitcoin was like $44,000, something like that. So when I say I've never, and I've said this in Discord and probably on video before, I haven't been through a real bull market, unless you include kind of this bottom where we kind of retraced it from about April to July of 2021 and then ran up to make that second high. Like I did good there. But I haven't been through like a proper bull market run as I hate calling myself like an experienced trader, but like a good trader. I made my bags from 69,000 to today. So really only in the last 3 years have I been like really profitable, and really it's been in the last 2 years. So really about like middle of 2022, I would say, beginning like February, March of 2022 is when it really started. Everything started to kind of click for me. Am I going too fast? If you guys have questions or I'm going too fast, slow me down.
No.
Nope, all good.
It's very interesting.
Yep.
So my journey from like start of crypto, from just holding Bitcoin, was from 2017. So 2017, 18, 19, 20, 21. I mean, that was 4 years, right? A pretty condensed version of 4 years, but it didn't really start clicking for me until 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, like 4 years into it. And then it took me 2020 to like a year and a half to become like really profitable, like taking out those Dogecoin catalyst. There was a lot of luck involved there. I mean, just having it come across my phone and just having it just took a gamble. It was a gamble, 100% a gamble. But again, it wasn't until about beginning of 2022 when it started to become profitable. I started to win more than I lost. But it wasn't from a lack of knowing TA, right? So I learned TA back here, but I wasn't profitable back in 2020, 21. That's where I had a good enough understanding. But I was still losing up until 2022. So there was still like a year period where I was trading, but I was still losing. But I was still treating this as like I'm gambling. I'm betting on if the price is going to go up or down. So while I understood on a larger time frame scale that Bitcoin's probably going to go down or up, I wasn't getting entries properly. I wasn't setting my stop losses properly. I was gambling still at that point. I wasn't disciplined in my trades. Like I saw the market top, right? So I knew, or I didn't know, but I had an inclination that there's probably some downside coming in November 2021 when we hit that 69,000. But I wasn't very profitable. I didn't capitalize on that well because my stop losses weren't set properly. I was just entering in. I wasn't entering in off of support and resistance. So I lost my ass from about 69,000. I cashed out my Bitcoin and stuff. So I cashed out my Bitcoin. My Dogecoin was long gone. I never sat on Doge except for those pumps. So I did exit the market there, but I tried to trade it on the way down and lost. I mean, I lost a lot. I mean, not compared to what I lose now when I lose, but for me at the time, it was a lot of money to lose. But it was about February-ish of 2022. It was like this block. These are weekly candles where I started to kind of hone in on my trading plan and learn more about like support and resistance trading, trend line trading, and trying to dial in my entries. And that's when I became like really the most profitable. I remember like riding the Terra Luna crash down, again, kind of a catalyst trade. I mean, the whole market tanked when that kind of fell off. And then obviously FTX stuff happened and all that. But I mean, that's kind of my trading journey. I mean, TA took me 3 months to learn. That was it. TA for me was easy. I mean, I probably even learned it quicker. I mean, it might have took me like a month, but to really kind of understand it was 3 months. So for me, TA was always easy. It always made sense. I mean, I can look at a chart now with 0 indicators turned on and just drop support and resistance lines, and I can't explain it. Somehow the price just goes to them. It's like I can eyeball support and resistance levels now, which I guess isn't that impressive because you can just look at the history and where we got hung up in the past.
Well, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
So your style of trading, what do you consider it to be? And the reason I ask that is, I know there's I know there's different. There's the scalping, and there's the day trading, and then there's the swing trading, and there's the long term trading. In a couple of examples that you've shared, sometimes, or I've heard you say this in some of your in your videos, you're like, "Oh yeah, I've been in this play for a while." So the question's really like, well, do you like do all those different types of trading, or is
Yep.
there one that you prefer? Okay.
Nope, I do them all. So typically, if I've been in a play for a while, it's because we had a violent swing up or a violent swing down where I'm like well into the profit, right? So I'm a little bit more comfortable sitting in that play for a longer period of time because I'm well into the profit on it. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, it makes sense. It actually makes it a lot more clear because as I'm coming into this and not having experience, I'm I get the impression like, or people that say, well, you have to figure out which one are you. So I'm like thinking, okay, well, I have to figure out, like, am I going to do this or this or this? And then I see you doing several different things. So I'm like, well, wait a minute. Here's the experienced guy, and he's incorporated like different types of trading in, and so I guess
So
that,
so I can answer that. So it's evolved, right? So it's evolved over the years. So um, but technically, I still have several clients that like they literally would not let me out of a contract, right? That I had with them. So technically, I still have a few clients from my previous job. I don't really have to do shit for it except for maybe like a couple times a year. But when I was working, and I was still working in 2021, I didn't stop working. I mean, really, it was like a year ago when I dropped like all my clients. When I started like making more money trading than I was making working. When I I took a leap of faith. But so when I was working, my trading strategy was different than what it is today. So I can comfortably sit at my computer now that this is my focus, my full-time job, and stare at my charts for 8 hours a day, right? So I can swing trade, I can scalp, I can day trade, I can do all that stuff because I'm literally like in my basement in my office all day long. I didn't, when I started to get good at it, back in 2021, 2022, it was a different trading strategy because I could not sit at my computer all day long. So I was looking for higher time frame plays at the time, longer trends. Here's a good example of a longer trend, right? So this was a 73, 74 day trend right here. Now this was recent. So, you can sit in these trades for days at a time. So like, you here, if you enter into a short, for just as an example, you'd be in this for 1, 2, 3, 4 or 5 days. And then same thing for back on the upswing. Maybe this one was a week to the downside here. Does that make sense? So you have to tailor
oh yeah,
your trading strategy for you. So obviously, if you're working a 9 to 5, you need to focus on that 9 to 5. That's what's paying the bills right now. It's counterproductive to try and do both things at the same time. So your trading strategy, in my opinion, right now should probably be to try to be in longer time frame plays. You can still scalp, when you're at the computer, but you don't want to try to get into quick plays when you're at work from your phone. That's going to end up badly for you. And this is generally speaking, and I'm not saying you, but generally speaking, it's going to end up bad for most people when they're trying to scalp from their phone and they're at work. Because what happens if you're in a scalp? Scalps are like a 0.2% move, right, or a 0.3% move, or whatever, or they can be greater or less, but they're smaller time frame plays. You might be in a scalp for a minute or two, right, or you might be in a scalp because it chops sideways for a little while before the move for 10, 20, 30 minutes. You don't want to do that stuff at work. You want to tailor your strategy to you, but you can still do that stuff when you get home. Maybe set an hour or two aside to try to scalp if you want, or on the weekends. But during the week, your trading strategy should be focused more on longer time frame strategies, longer time frame day trades, right?
Yeah, that's a really, really valuable piece of information that you just shared, because I am it makes it more clear on how the trading and why the trading is a lot more complex than it looks, from from a high level view. If you just start looking at like charts and you go, because you've got three dimensions going on. You've got time, the dimension of time, and then you've got the you've got price, you've got volume, you've got time, you've got all of these different cryptos. But but if you sit down and you go, well, I'm going to do this type of trade, say it's a short-term trade, then it's a different type of setup than the longer one. But yeah, if you can sit down all day and like be in be looking at it and identifying and working it, that's a lot different than the guy that comes home at 5 o'clock at night, has dinner, and then opens up his computer and goes, okay, for a couple hours I'm going to get involved here. And then you're changing from 1 minute to 3 minutes to five to an hour to a day. I mean, think of how difficult that makes it.
Yep. And I just, for the record, I made all these mistakes. I was self-taught. I didn't take any classes, no seminars. I've never watched any other YouTubers. I do today. I watch some other YouTubers, but it's more or less to figure out how they're making videos and what they're doing. Because to me, making videos is harder than trading, if that makes sense. But I never, I'm not saying you should do what I did. You should watch other YouTubers. You shouldn't just listen to me. I don't know everything. Far from it. But you should incorporate and watch as many different people and listen to as many different people as you possibly can, and then just pick the like, don't try to copy someone. That's like, my trading strategy works for me. Like, my point in this TA series that I'm doing is to show you what I do. What I do is not going to work for everyone, right? Maybe it'll work for some people, but it works for me. You need to like pick it apart and build your own trading strategy based on what other people do. You should never listen to other traders, right? You should always listen to yourself and figure the stuff out for yourself. I mean, I personally don't know anyone who has gotten rich off of listening to other people. I'm sure there's some exceptions to that, right? There's definitely exceptions to it. But even then, when you're listening to other people, if someone tells you to go long or go short and you just blindly do it, you're probably going to have a bad time, because, getting entries, stop losses, stuff like that. That's where, like, if someone says something or puts you onto something or says you should go long or short, you still got to do the work. You still got to TA it, find your entry, and get into it. Does that make sense, or am I just like rambling?
No, it makes perfect sense, and like I said, it's actually very enlightening to hear that, because coming from the non-experienced side and getting into it, these are several of the questions that, like, when you read or you hear somebody say, well, you have to develop your own strategy, and they just say that, and then you go, well, okay, what does that mean? And then you look at it and go, oh, it means I do the short trade or this trade or this trade. Well, yes, but I think your point that you said about how you evolved your style, that really answers the question on a better level, because it makes me realize, at least like right now, I'm like, okay, so you sort of have to like go through and look at some of these different styles and play with them a little bit. And then you also have to take into account, well, when am I doing it? How much time do I have to do it? So when you say like, well, you have to pick your strategy, it's like, well, you also have to take into account like, when can you do it? How long can you do it? What are you looking at? I mean, there's a lot. It's a lot deeper than it looks on the surface. But I think, at least I feel for me, I'm like, okay, like, I'm working through some of these, and I've made a lot of these mistakes. Like, my reason for getting into this, I'm mining these coins, and I love crypto just in general, everything that it's about, decentralization. But my start was I went into MEXC because I got kicked out of CoinEx. The reason I got kicked out of CoinEx in China is they send me an email and they're like, you're logging in from the United States and we're gonna shut your account down. So I had to I moved all my crypto off there real quick, and then I watched your video on DeFi Rebels and it was like, yeah, MEXC is a good exchange or a platform. So I went and set up on there, and then I found the copy trading, and I was like, well, I'm going to take some of my Bitcoin and I'll just do some copy trading. And then as I'm watching these guys do copy trading, I'm like, they were losing money. Some of them were making money, but a lot of them were losing money. And I'm like, well, you should have set a stop loss. I don't even know anything about it, but I'm looking at it. I'm like, you should have set a stop loss. And then I saw this guy lose like $80,000 on one Sunday night when Bitcoin, like back in like June, I think it was beginning, or no, it was before that, April. It was like April or May or sometime. But Bitcoin on one Sunday night just tanked. And the guy lost $80,000. And I'm like, dude, you should have like had your stop loss. I don't even know anything about trading, and I knew that. So then I was like, well, I'm gonna start learning. I'm gonna like figure this out myself. I'm not gonna let some other guy like run me into the ground. I'd rather run myself into the ground. At least I can take responsibility for it. But so that's when I started doing this.
Yes, sorry to if I
Go
interrupt
ahead.
about that. I suggest you, but you learned the lesson, but there is a lot of conflict of interest with the business of copy trading because many exchange can facilitate facilitate the statistics for trader to be copied, and then they propose those traders to the audience to at least for with them, and this is why the exchange, of course, earns from your commissions when you trade, when you copy trade, and also in some cases, how to say this? It is said that this exchange can be trading against you. So maybe you are copying someone which is not really trading for itself or with the intent of making profits.
Yep.
This is why
I have some experience with this. So, Netta, you probably don't know this, but Farron knows this. So I was a part of another, I don't know. I had another thing going with a buddy of mine. Another YouTube channel, another Discord. Was bigger than what I have now. I've only been doing this for like a couple months, but we had been doing it a year. But we had an affiliate partnership with MEXC. So they saw that I was a good trader and winning, and they tried to onboard me to their copy trade program. And after like sitting through their pitch and their spiel about it, at the end of the day, I asked myself a couple of questions. Well, who do I know that's a good trader that does copy trades? And I couldn't think of one. I couldn't think of one good influencer / trader out there who does the copy trades. And then I wanted to look into why is that? Why are none of these good traders? And I can think of some off the top of my head. There's some good traders out there. Why aren't they doing copy trading? Right? These exchanges are going to pay you even though you're trading. And for me, it was like that's just an added variable. It like goes against my trading plan. It's like, well, you're probably going to be taking trades just to be in trades. It adds extra pressure, extra stress. But also at the same time, like I make enough money trading. Why do I need an exchange to pay me money to be a part of some copy trade program? Because that's what they do. They pay you money to be a part of their copy trade program. It was just so many red flags. It didn't make sense to me. I don't know. That makes sense or no?
Yeah, that makes sense, and it answers a lot of questions. And I think it's a great segue back into, why are we in this group and what are we trying to do? and really, finally, for me right there, and for you guys validating, you got to learn how to do this yourself. I mean, if you really want to be successful,
I'm going to
you know,
interrupt you right there. So I know what you're going to say, and I want you to finish. But if you want to be successful, right? So if you want to be a trader, so not everyone is probably in this Discord. I know some people who are in this Discord who do not want to be traders. They just like crypto. They want to sit on their whole bags, and that's fine. But if you want to actually become a trader and this to be your job, and have the Lambos and the nice house and all that stuff, you're 100% right. You need to put in this shit's just not going to fall in your lap, right? A briefcase of money is not going to fall in your lap. It's just not. BitBoy, Crypto Lifer, all these guys are not going to throw a briefcase of money in your lap. If you want to become a trader, you have to put in the work, and you have to work harder than everyone else. This is why I always say there's someone on the opposite side of your trade. When you go long, I'm generally speaking, when you go long, someone's going short, right? So you better be damn sure that you're right. I mean, there's someone who thinks that the market's going to go short when you took that long. So why is that? Why does someone see it differently than you? And oftentimes, right, there's a reason we track whale orders, these $1 million plus orders, because they know what the hell they're doing. In most cases, not all of them, but some of them, they know what they're doing. So you're literally David going up against Goliath, right? In that scenario. But finish your thought. I just wanted to say, like, generally speaking, not everyone wants to be a trader. Like Michael in Discord, like MMGLE, he doesn't want to be a trader. He just likes crypto. He wants to be like an investment for him for his hold bags, and that is fine if that's what you want to do. But if you want to get it to the next level, man, you got to put in the work.
Yep, and that's exactly kind of where that's another decision to make, right? Hey, is this what you want to do? And then if you do want to do it, then here's what you need to do in order to get to that point. And that's why, like, I'm really pro on this group, and I'm very picky on where I'm going to spend my time. I am part of another group that I paid for a little bit. I didn't do their full on thing, and I know I shared that with you. But I didn't do like the big one. But I took some little pieces of their training, and I paid for it, and I invest my time into it, and I look at it and I listen to them, and they do have a little different style and strategy, and that's their style and strategy, and that's going to help me to develop. It's going to take me 3, 6, 9, 12 months to get to where I've determined what my style and strategy is, and then to make it work for me. So
and that's a very key thing. So my style and strategy is not going to be everyone's cup of tea. And even for like, I look at this like on YouTube too. Like, I'm not a super like flamboyant, energetic guy, right? I'm like, just here's what it is. Here's what I'm doing. Here's the news, this, and that. There's other influencers out there who are like bouncing off of walls with that kind of fake enthusiasm. You know what I'm saying? Some people like that. So I kind of relate that to crypto. So there's different ways of getting the same result, if that makes sense. It's just a matter of finding out which of those methods mesh best with you. Not everyone's going to vibe with my trading style. And I don't vibe with everyone else's trading style. And you don't have to. You just have to kind of figure out and piece together your trading style from other people.
Yep, and I appreciate that, and I'm glad to be part of the group because of that. Because I like that approach on it overall. I mean, you come at it from here's a mile away perspective, and then drill all the way down into now we're looking at it in a microscope, and I mean that's good.
Yeah, about the trading influencers and YouTubers. What I have to say is that I found the channel because just out of luck, because the YouTube algorithm managed to propose me something new once in a while, and I found this guy, which according to my sensitivity as a now I could say a long time trader, it seemed genuine. He had basically no subscribers. Were just starting out, but most of the things that he said checked out immediately. I clicked immediately with me. So I guess the point of what I'm trying to say is that YouTube is literally with influencers that are there to sell a product. Many of them are not able to trade. And
No, there's a phenomenon of people who literally got lucky, kind of like I did with Dogecoin. Although when I say get lucky with Dogecoin, it wasn't life-changing money. It was, at the time, it was a decent amount of money for me. But there's influencers out there who in 2017 got really lucky, right? Who like are now living in Dubai with Lambos and giant penthouses in Dubai. I can think of Crypto Rover, Crypto, Carl from the Moon. We can go on and on and on about all these Dubai influencers who got lucky in 2013, 2015, or 2017, 2018. And then they built an audience showing flashy shit, right? Showing their Lambos and their Gucci suits and all this stuff. And they built an audience. And then what happens, right? These exchanges and stake.com and Rollbit, they pay them a lot of money to shill their stuff.
Yes.
Not That's all. There's some good trade, like I don't know if you guys know who the Trader Clan is, like Trader SZ, Trader XO. Like I actually like those guys. Like they're not showing off. They're right a lot of the time. I look to those guys as I think they're like Middle Eastern or from something. 100. I know they are, but they have like a British accent, most of them. So maybe they're from there. But really good guys. Like they know what they're doing. They're straight to the point, kind of like me. They don't really do YouTube videos. It's mostly like on Twitter. I think like once a month they all kind of go live together. But it's like this Trader Clan of guys that are pretty solid. They don't try to sell you a thing. No affiliate links. So that's kind of what I'm trying. I think they have probably like an exchange affiliate link. I think most influencers probably do. They have like a trading group, right? Like MEXC trading group or whatever. But I think that's the extent of it. Like they're not selling you some like e-pamphlet or something.
Yeah, that's the point.
So there are good influencers out there. I don't want to just sound like I'm shitting on influencers. Like even Jason Casper, I can stand. Like I don't mind him.
Yep. The point I was trying to come across with was that this is a very, very difficult business because you are staking your odds against the ones of the smarter people in the planet. Everyone can do TA. Everyone can see the same chart that you see.
Yep.
So it's not going to be just TA that gets you over there.
No,
over the fence.
No, like I said, TA was easy for me. That shit clicked so fast. What was hard for me was literally the discipline and the patience and the market psychology. That was harder for me to grasp. And really, I didn't grasp that until like a year and a half ago.
Yeah, that's okay. The problem that I have with trading influencers that they can come across as flamboyant, can really, if you are a beginner, make you think that this is easy and that they can trade easily, and you can do that too, which is a lie. And this is, of course, a big problem in the industry. I get across, I found a lot of people talk to me with this same problem. They spend sometimes a bunch of money subscribing to signal services, following this or that community of influencers, discords, and after 6 months to 1 year, they come out of that having lost a lot of money, having understood nothing of value.
Yeah, I look at some of these influencers and I don't understand how they can put out so many videos and tweet all day long and then still trade. Like maybe I'm just not to that. Either they're full of shit or I'm just haven't reached that level yet. Like I don't know how they're tweeting all day long. Like I don't get it. Like I have a Twitter account, but like the only thing I post on there is just the videos when I post them. Like I don't have the time. Like I don't know how I can trade all day and then make a video, talk in Discord, to Twitter. Like
Yeah,
I where's all the time in the day for that stuff?
I agree. Same problem. For me, it's just heavy to be on Discord.
Yeah, that's kind of where my focus is, Discord. And then even like, I'm not gonna lie, like even making YouTube videos takes me like I mean, at this point I've gotten it down pretty good. It takes me like an hour to do my like daily update videos, but that's still like taking an hour away from like staring at the charts. I can't tell you how many entries I've missed or plays I've missed, just like spending like even an hour a day on a YouTube video.
Yeah,
So that's what I'm saying. Like I don't know how these guys are doing it. Maybe I'm just not there yet or something, or they're full of shit.
one of the two. I'll make you guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have my guess as well.
And then I also, so I drilled it on my trading journey. It was like a very condensed version of it. The last year and a half has been really good, and really this year has been really good to me. I took lots of L's to get to this spot. I don't let myself get trapped or take L's today. So I this year I have not had a bad month. I've had bad weeks. I have not had a negative month this year yet. I've had negative weeks, 100%. Well, actually, I did have a bad month, so I take that back. But overall, on the year, I've been, I don't know if it's luck or it's just started to click really, really hard this year. It doesn't mean I don't lose, but I don't let myself take $80,000 losses like that dude you were talking about, Farron, right? Like when I enter into a trade, my stop losses are 3 to 7%. If it hits that stop loss, I'm out, right? If I get 3 strikes in a day, I'm out. I'm done. And then usually I get like in my head about it to where like I'm scared to take that next trade, even the next day. So I could go like 2 or 3 days to get back into the proper mindset of trading again. But before this year, I mean, I had bad months. I mean, I had bad strings and stuff. And that doesn't mean like I'm self-aware enough to know that like it can still happen, right? Like I can still have a bad month or a bad year even. This year's been good. You know, I don't know what next year's going to bring or the rest of the year. But I really honed in on not moving my stop losses, on taking that 3% hit or the 4 or 5% hit and then moving on from it. You know, I'm not taking 20% or 30% losses. Like that's huge to me. Like I don't understand that. Like if you have to enter into a trade with a 20 or 30% stop loss, you probably shouldn't be in that trade in the first place. Like you just wait because the better opportunity will come. So this year I've really dialed in on my discipline, my patience, like even more so than back like pre-Terra Luna collapse when I was still profitable, but nothing like this year. I feel like I hit my stride.
Yeah, I think really you describing that is good to hear, because when you're beginning and you're starting and you don't really know all of the intricacies of this field, profession, like you hear somebody say, well, you have to be very patient, or you have to be very disciplined. But if you stop and think about it, you're like, well, I know what those two things mean, right? But how do I apply those things to this profession? And so when you talk about the things you do, those are the specific ways, like, yeah, you need to wait for a better trade. What does that mean? Well, what it means is you're not going to let yourself get in a position where you're going to lose, 10, 15, 20% because you didn't wait for, maybe you didn't chart the high and the low and check the channel and go, hey, where are you at in this channel? If you're in the middle of it, maybe you need to wait for it, see where it goes. So those are things that slowly, for me, I'm starting to learn and understand and apply. So that's why, this whole thing is very helpful that you're doing, and I appreciate it. Thank you.
I think the video that I'm putting out today, it's actually was Netta's suggestion. I'm like probably 70% done with it, but it was on the support and resistance Netta. So I think this video might explain more what you're talking about, Farron. And then really this year is when this, like November, December last year is when this really started to click with me. So when I say be patient, I think this video and talk about discipline, this video will really kind of explain that more, talking about support and resistance trading, buy breakdowns, sell breakdowns, fake outs, stuff like that. And then when I say patience and discipline, this year I've stopped taking like riskier trades. Like if we're in the middle of a channel and there's no real clear path if we're going up or down, I'm just not trading. Like I'm not going to just hop into a trade anymore just to be in a trade, right? Like that was a problem for me. Discipline was really a problem for me. But I've in the last year and a half, and really this year, I've really honed in on that.
Yeah, and that's
just waiting, right? So when I say patience, it's just waiting. Like if you don't see something, if you're mid-channel, just chopping sideways, just wait. Like the market, the price will come to you, right? The price will come to you. It'll hit a trend, right? It'll hit a support or resistance level. It'll hit a pocket of liquidity. It's not going to be in that same spot forever.
Yeah. Aere, was it Brighto or Brian who asked you about your trading journey?
Well, they're both Brian's, but I think maybe it was both. I don't remember.
Okay. Well, I'm looking forward to see the new video because that's a lot to unpack. That's a very big topic, at least for me.
Yeah, it's already the video's at 30 minutes so far, and so I start off the video with just some basic. Cause I try to look at these videos like I'm making it for everybody, not just a specific person, right? So like the first 10-15 minutes of the video is just like explaining what support and resistance are and why it's important, and then I kind of go into like the topics you suggested.
Okay, would be how to say this? Will it be a good suggestion to the listener about the psychology of approaching those type of trades to develop the skill of waiting, not just for the sake of waiting, but
Can you see my screen right
now? Waiting for the setup to form and then wait for the FOMO to disappear and wait for the maximum point of uncertainty. I mean, when you're really, really uncomfortable entering, but at the same time you are not catching the falling knife. That's at least for me that is the spot. That is the correct mental status that confirms the trade. Other, of course, than the setup itself.
Yep. So I got this is like kind of my timestamps for the video so far. So I'm right now on the video. I'm up to like buy support and sell resistance, which was one of the things you talked about. Then we kind of go into like entries and stop losses, disciplines and patience. And then I just added wait for FOMO to kind of disappear. Don't catch falling knives or blasting off rockets. Then we're going to talk about short breakdowns and then long breakouts. And then like on the flip side of that, like the long breakout retest and then fails, and then also sell fake outs and fails.
Yeah, those type of environments really, really test your endurance because
100%.
you can get that wrong 4, 5, 6 times in a row.
But even beginner,
and still you can
even beginner traders, like it's hard for them to understand like buy support and sell resistance. Like that's a hard thing for someone just starting off. If you don't understand that, if you don't know where support and resistance is and you enter into Bitcoin because it's going up, it's like today, right now, it's up 0.6%, and you decide to go long just on a whim, maybe you're longing resistance.
Yeah.
Right, which you don't want, typically speaking, you don't want to do.
What do you know? It's up. It's up for 0.6% for real. And almost resistant, I'd say. Almost there. The weekend is really, really spotty, especially in the summer, as you said.
Yeah. I don't really ever trade weekends ever. I mean, I look at this like it is my job, but like a 9 to 5, you know?
Well,
I grew up listening to Eminem, right? So I remember being like 17, 18 in high school and listening to Eminem. And then as I've gotten into my older years in life, I'm listening to interviews from other rappers talking about Eminem, right? And they're saying the biggest takeaway they had with Eminem was his work ethic, right? So he looked at rap like it was his 9 to 5 job. So I don't remember who it was. I think it was Redman or Method Man or someone was talking about doing a track with Eminem. And let's just say it was Method Man. Method Man came to the studio. It was like 5 or 6 o'clock at night. He was going to do a track with Eminem. Eminem was already gone for the day. He had been there since 9 o'clock in the morning, grinding away, getting that track done, getting the production done on the song. 5 o'clock hits, he's gone. I remember Method Man saying he showed up to work the next day at 9 a.m. Eminem was already there in the studio, grinding away. 1 o'clock rolls around, right? And Eminem's gone for an hour. He's out at lunch. So he's looking at it like it's his job. That's kind of how I look at this. I don't remember what made me go down this tangent, but I just thought it was interesting.
Well, it's relevant, and I think anybody that listens to this, and you know, we can say it over and over and over again, but you have to invest, you know, your time into anything, any trade, any profession that you want to be successful at. I mean, you hear, like, you used Eminem, and there's a lot of successful, you know, my daughter likes Taylor Swift, absolutely loves her. But if you listen, she is working all the time. It's not like, oh, I'm just a successful star. Well, no, you're putting effort into it. And that's, I mean, that's what I'm doing with this. That's why on Sunday at noon, I'm jumping in here and listening, because I'm like, yeah, these guys know what they're talking about. I want to be involved in this. I want to hear what they have to say. I will say that the other group that I listen to, interestingly enough and ironically, it's like they say in their group, like, yeah, we have certain days and we have certain times that we, over, you know, months and months and months and months of trading, they slowly dial in. Well, I don't trade on Mondays. I trade on Tuesdays and Thursdays because my results are better. Or I don't trade between noon and 4 p.m. or whatever. I mean, they literally are dialing this into a science to that degree. And I think that's fascinating.
Yep. I mean, before I even started like paying attention to like the macro economy, like I remember, like, imagine trading on a day of CPI release or something like that, and you don't know that that's going on.
Right.
You know what I mean?
You'd be like, what the hell's making these candlesticks wig out? Like, you're like, I don't know what it is.
But I think what you said is key too, in that, man, you gotta put in the work and grind. Like it's like, that's why I look at this as it is my job, right? Like I'm 9 to 5, 40, 50 hours a week doing this, but you know, I put in the work. Like I would grind, and I'm a workaholic. So like I'm not saying I was the best at every job I ever had, because I wasn't, but I always strived to be the best, right? I always wanted to be the best I possibly could be at whatever it is I'm doing. And you got to look at it that way. Like, if this is what you want to do, and this isn't for everyone's not going to be a trader. There's people out there with addictive personalities that should be nowhere near an exchange, right? Like degenerate gamblers, things like that I'm talking about. They should probably be nowhere near an exchange. But man, there's slow and steady does not win the race. Like that is bullshit. Slow and steady does not win the race. Like grinding hard wins the race. Like you hear all these stories about Elon Musk sleeping on the floor of like the Tesla factories when he first started off and stuff. And I'm not saying you need to take it to that level, right? Because you don't. But just to put it in perspective, like, man, it's hard work. You got to grind. You got to figure out the ins and outs of this.
You guys still there?
Yeah.
Yep.
Was I not talking there?
Nope. You were good. We listened. Yep. 100% agreement. Yeah, I just saw Elon Musk on an interview, and he was saying, they're like, "How long do you work?" And he's like, like 7 days a week, 12 hours a day. Like,
Yeah, I'm
he's
not
like,
saying you need to do that, right?
Right,
I'm not.
right,
You
right.
yeah.
But
I mean,
your point's valid. Like,
yeah.
you have to work. The point is just, look, you got to work hard if you're going to be successful. Period.
Yeah. No, I don't know of too many people who like accidentally became billionaires, right? And they failed too. I mean, I hate to bring up Donald Trump, but everyone likes to talk shit about like all the failed businesses that he's had, right? He's still a billionaire. Like he's, you know what I mean? He still had some successful businesses. So even billionaires fail. It's just picking yourself back up again. So even, you know, multi-million dollar traders now, blew up accounts in the beginning. But they knew they wanted to do this and they picked themselves up, dusted themselves off and just stuck to the grind, kept on learning.
Absolutely.
I think I gotta end it there, guys.
Yeah.
The wife's staring at me. I gotta get some Sunday chores, some honey-do lists done.
Well, thank you guys for the discussion. It was really good to talk to you guys, and can't wait till next time.
Same here. Appreciate you guys.
Thank you.